This is the plaintiff, Charlotte Leatherwood. She says she hired the defendant, who was a personal chef, to cater a little dinner party she was having. And after he got her money, he ghosted her. That's right, the guy refuses to answer her calls. She doesn't trust him anymore and is suing for the return of her $775. This is the defendant, Quentin Pride. He says he's been a professional chef for 14 years, and this woman tried to cancel her event 1 week before the dinner date. He planned the menu, did a lot of prep work for the event, isn't returning her deposit, and is definitely not paying her to hire another chef. He's accused of burning up a customer.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Leon is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Leatherwood, you had a birthday coming up, your 39th birthday, and you decided you would throw a nice dinner party for the event, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you find out about the defendant and his services?
A family friend hired him to do a party for her, and I saw the pictures of the event, and I asked her about him.
Okay, so what happened here?
So I reached out to Chef Q on November 6th and asked him if he can cater my party, which I initially was expecting 8 guests. That same day we spoke via text, I sent him the $275 deposit for the food that he was going to cater for me for 8 people.
And how much was the total party going to be?
$550.
So, Ms. Leatherwood, you end up sending a deposit of how much, $275?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then you do that on what day?
I did that on November 6th, the same day that I first reached out to him.
All right, and the party was going to be when?
December 5th.
Okay, so what happens?
So over text, I made a few changes because, as you know, due to COVID, a lot of people were saying they weren't going to make it. They had to go to work. So it ended up from being 8 people to 6. So over a few texts, I knew the changes were going to be made. So I was reaching out to him, just letting him know, updating him with everything. Finally, the weekend before the party, which was November 28th, that was the Saturday before the dinner. I had been trying to reach him prior. So prior to that day, I had sent him the address to the Airbnb where we were going to have the event. And I didn't get a response of nothing like, okay, I got the address, thank you. It was at some point, even before that Saturday, that I sent him a text message telling him that we were down from 8 people till I think 6. And he replied, and I said, instead of changing the amount, just add the additional side for me. He said, what do you want? I asked him to pick it for me. He never responded. So now we're moving to the November 28th, which was the weekend before the party. I just called to touch bases with him. I had called him that Friday night afternoon. I didn't get anything. Saturday, I called him. Didn't get anything. It was early Saturday, probably around 9-ish in the morning. So I had been trying to reach him. I called the party decorator who had been working with me closely. And I had anxiety, worse anxiety, because I'm like, okay, he's not replying. He's not answering. What's going on? I don't know. So I contacted her, and being that she was professional.
When you say he's not, I'm trying to understand something. When you say he's not responding, were you calling him and he wasn't calling you back? Or are you referring to the text? For example, let's talk about November 27th, and it's the week before your party. You say, good afternoon, this is the address, and he doesn't respond to that. And then the next day, because that was Friday, November 27th, on November 28th, good morning, I'd like to speak to you to touch base with you. Please give me a call.
He never responded.
And I guess he didn't answer you. I don't know. That was at 9:57 in the morning. By 12:38, you fired him. And that's all in one morning. So what had happened? Tell me what had happened that made you so frustrated and nervous about your party. And I mean, it's your event. You know, you have a right to the kind of communication you want. The question is what you demand a breach of contract on his part? Or is it unreasonable on your part, therefore you can choose whatever you want, but it's going to cost you and not him? That's what I have to determine as a judge. And I'm talking to you as a pretty impatient person who requires some hand-holding. Okay, so I get it. And, you know, the anxiety of party planning, I get it. So I am sympathetic to what you're saying. But what happened on that Saturday? First you send that text, and then your decorator sent it. So you actually hired a decorator and a chef for 6 people. You're the bomb. I love that. So go on.
So I called, after I sent him that text that morning, I did try calling him. I didn't get a response. So again, I'm panicking. I believe it was around 10:30, 11, probably close to 12. I called the decorator. I said, hey, you know, I don't know what to do. How should I go about? You're a professional. You've been in the business for a while. What should I do? She said, well, since I usually work with, do this type of work, I would try to reach out to him. Because usually when I'm doing a dinner party, setting up for the dinner party and stuff, if they like certain colors and plates and stuff, she do get with the chef and she coordinate with them. So everything, you know, if he wants special plates or special, or if it was something I was requesting. So she contacted him and he answered. So again, I'm having anxiety. I'm like, what's going on? So she called, before she can even call me back, I call her back. And she said, I just hung up with him. I say, oh, he answered the phone. She said, yeah, he answered. I say, so what happened? She said, well, he said he doesn't really have to talk to you about anything. But she also said that she told him, well, you know, she may want to just touch bases with you for something. And he said, well, I'm hosting something. He was at a event already, and that he'll call, or I can't remember the exact words, but it was definitely he didn't need to touch bases with me. That part I do remember. So once I hung up with her, I again tried reaching him. I didn't get anything. That's when you see the text where it say, hey, I know you spoke to the decorator. That's when that text went out. At this point, I got a call from someone who was claiming to be his assistant. She calls me and she said, hey, Q wanted to know, what is it that you need to talk to him about? And I was thrown aback because I was like, well, why is she calling me? I haven't been dealing with her. And that's just what I said. No disrespect, ma'am, but I didn't give you my money. I gave my money to Q. And when he gets unbusy, please have him call me. And about a couple of minutes later, he called me back. He said, well, I can't give you your money back because, you know, you canceled outside of the 2 weeks of the agreement. And I say, well, you're not answering me like what I'm supposed to do. I don't know, like, what am I supposed to do? He was like, ma'am, I'm already hosting an event. I have 100 and something people that I'm working with today. I can't give you your money back. And I said, okay.
All right, let me hear from you, Miss Chef Q. I'd like to hear your version of this stuff.
Where would you like me to start, Judge?
Well, she hires you, and apparently she needs a little more contact than you're giving her. So you tell me, how many times did she call you? What were her questions? What was the issue? Why didn't you call her back? Why did you feel that you didn't have to call her back? Talk to me and tell me your defense to what she's saying.
Okay, so she reached out to me. I sent her menu first. She was kind of like iffy about that price. So she sent what she wanted, and I gave her a new price. And then she was asking me a bunch of other questions in the midst of me asking her, did she want to send a deposit or not? And she was asking me everything else. And she asked me about the cancellation policy. And then I was like, huh? For 6 people? A cancellation policy? So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. If you want one, I'll give you one. So she was like, what is it? And I said, well, 2 weeks prior to your event, if you cancel before that, I'll give you your money back. If something happened on my end, I'll give you your money back. Anything from that, I'm going to keep the money because obviously I done went and bought food or I've done something towards your party. So in the midst of that, she sent the deposit. Then she asked me, was I okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with you. Like, because normally someone books me, we get the menu set, they send me the deposit, I don't talk to them no more. I'm a chef. I don't decorate. I don't do nothing else but bring the food. So I don't need to talk to you. You told me what you want. And when you change stuff, I replied to you because you're changing stuff. You say you didn't want this. You said, oh, this person not coming. So I subtract that. You asked me what the new balance was. I gave you the new balance. When it's something that's pertaining to me, but then you're calling me. I'm telling you, you're blowing me up like I'm the party planner. That's the type of calls that the party planner get. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, dog. So yes, as I'm entertaining 100 other people that has paid me, and now it's their time of their event, I had my assistant, like you said, reach out. Because you're calling so much now, so I really want to know what's on. Because I already reached out to your party planner. So if she's the planner, so I'm figuring if I talk to her, then she'll cool you off. Or she'll let you know, oh, everything is good. Because when I talked to her, she asked me, did I need anything? I told her no. I said she already paid me. I don't need nothing from you. I don't hook up with a party planner unless a party planner called me and booked me. You booked me, so I dealt with you. And once you sent that deposit, it wasn't nothing else to do for me to show up. And you called me 7 days before your event and said, well, no, you didn't call me. You text me. And I called you back and told you, you can reschedule. I even gave you the option to reschedule, did I? Right?
But why reschedule? She didn't need to reschedule.
Right, but
the problem was, like, her problem was she, right. Right, but the problem was that she wanted to talk to you, you didn't talk to her, and she wanted to talk to you really, really badly. So I think that's where the problem lies. And it's a shame because you both seem like nice people, and it's just kind of a shame that it led to that because honestly, if you'd just called her, later, I mean, you did end up calling her later that day.
Did.
What happened when you called her?
When I finished.
Yeah, and what happened?
When I called her, she asked me for, she said, so I said, what was it? She said, I just need to talk to you. And I was like, for what? I talked to your platform. Well, I don't know. I just don't know. And then she was like, can I have some of my money back? And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, no, I can't. It's impossible. She asked me, not even half? No. Like, no. And I left it at that. And I never responded after that. I never called back again.
I never asked him over the conversation, can I have any money? Most of the conversation that we had that you saw regarding any money or refunds, it was through that text message that I sent him. And even at the end,
well, you still asked me for half.
Hold on one second, Miss Chef Q. Ms. Leatherwood, let me ask you a question. You tell him you choose for me, please, and that doesn't require an answer. Then on November 27th, you say the address to the location is X. I don't know if that requires an answer. What I do when someone doesn't acknowledge receiving something like this is I say, can you just confirm for me you got this? Then I'm calm because I know they got it and it doesn't matter. But you're basically just saying the address and, that might have required a thanks, got it, or whatever. Then on the 28th, I'd like to speak with you. At 9:57 and by 12:56, you fire him. I think that what happened is when he spoke to the planner, he was like, well, what does she need to talk to me about? I don't have anything I need to talk to her about. And that felt kind of rude to you, probably.
It didn't.
Am I right?
I know he's...
Yeah.
No, it didn't because I know he
okay.
From what she explained to me, she said he was hosting an event. So it didn't seem rude. It's just that, like,
so then why are you, if he's in the middle of hosting an event, why are you texting him and firing him in the middle of the event?
I didn't know that until she told me. But
right, she had already stopped. She had already told you stop. She had already told you because what you text him at 12:38 when he's still in the middle of his event is due to timing and communication and no response. I'm asking to please refund my money. I am aware you spoke to the planner, so you've already spoken to the planner. You're aware of everything that he was doing. That he was in the middle of a 100-person party, and then you're firing him in the middle of the 100-person party because I think that whatever he told the planner you felt was rude, like. Why does she keep blowing up my phone? And, I don't really need to talk to her. Everybody needs a different level of hand-holding. He makes a point when he says, look, I'm the chef. You told me what to cook. I'm cooking it. See you later. I'll see you then. But instead, I guess you required more, which is okay. We all, oh, look how pretty. So you sent me pictures of the actual, that's your birthday cake. That's you and your buddies having the birthday party. Everybody's dressed as a yellow theme. That's nice. And you rented an Airbnb, and I presume that there was dinner and plenty of celebrating, and that's lovely. But, the problem that I have is I have to decide if your level of hand-holding is reasonable under the circumstances or not reasonable under the circumstances. Do you get to talk to your chef over and over to ask, are we still okay? Yes, we're still okay. Yes, we're still okay. Yes, we're still okay. Because what I am seeing is just you wanting to touch base as opposed to having a change or an inquiry or something that he's ignoring you on. I mean, I just, and you're suing for, you want the deposit you gave him back, plus you want the money you paid the other caterer, so that would be a free birthday for you, which also doesn't make sense. But based on what I am hearing, I think that you need to understand that a party planner is a party planner and a chef is a chef. If there had been some question pending, like you said, I'm changing the menu, call me, and the guy's not calling you, that would be different. But just based on this, I think you jumped the gun. And let me be clear, it's your birthday, okay? And your 39th birthday only comes around 20, 30 times in a lifetime, at least if you're me, because I've been saying that forever. But, if you don't feel comfortable with him and you don't want him to do it, you do you, boo, that's great. But you've come to court and you've asked me, hey, he breached, judge, not me. In other words, it's your birthday. You want to dump him. But that's going to cost you and not him. So in this case, based on what I have heard, I am finding in favor of the defendant. And the next time you have a party in Miami, you invite me. I'm from Miami.
Okay, the plaintiff fails to get the money back from the defendant. She has lost big time. Let's see how she feels about it. Ms. Leatherwood, what are you thinking right now?
I don't know. I just feel like when you're in business and you're doing a service for someone, you should always communicate with them, whether it's okay, yes, no, or I'm busy or something. Because even with the party planner or whoever I dealt with in the past, when we're providing services, we let the customer, we give them that feel that it's okay, you're going to be okay. He doesn't know what it took me to come to this day to get to where I was. So for him to just leave me hanging, it feels like it was his business versus it was his business versus customer service for me.
All right, let's move on to Mr. Pride. How are you feeling, Mr. Pride? Do you think you treated her fairly and okay, or not?
Very much fairly, and I'm very happy with the judge's decision. And I'm gonna keep on doing me and continue on doing good services, and keeping my text messages also.
All right. You've learned a good lesson. All right. Congratulations. All right. Interesting case. Harvey?
Doug, a really interesting case because the plaintiff here just simply panicked. The plaintiff was worried that the defendant wasn't going to show, so she basically cancels this deal and gets another chef. You can't do that. You got to give somebody a reasonable amount of time to respond, and you can't assume they're just going to jump as soon as you contact them.
What lesson did your parents teach you that you live by today?
I'm kind of a suspicious sort, wouldn't you say?
Oh, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
You're more than a suspicious sort.
I just believe that basically everyone's going to disappoint me. No one's going to do their job. And so trust but verify. Absolutely everything anybody ever tells you, they will get done.
That is so you in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And if you want something done right,
do it yourself.
Right.
Which is terrible. It's a terrible way to live.
Every now and then that inures to my benefit.
Yeah, no, what do you mean every now and then? For 30 years it's inured to your benefit.
And I'd have to say, my parents, probably the most important thing they taught me is if you really want to know someone's true character, you can't judge it by how they treat you necessarily. You always have to look at how they treat, because you might have a working relationship with them or a social relationship. You have to see how they treat those people who really can't do anything for them. The guy who's parking their car, maybe the person who's washing dishes at the bar.
That's very
How do they
true.
treat those people? If they treat those people really well, that demonstrates they have good character.
And that's something that I'm sure you heard this said many times with judges. There's a disease called robitis.
Oh, yes,
where
absolutely.
a lawyer is elevated to the position of judge, and then all of a sudden, everyone's shocked and appalled that they're kind of arrogant
Right.
to the lawyers. And I always used to tell him, you shouldn't be shocked and appalled because you were looking at the way he treated you. What you should have seen is how he was treating staff.
Exactly. Right.
So yeah, I think that is a really good way to live, is to see how people treat everyone,
Absolutely.
not just those that can do something for them.
Absolutely, and judges should never think that their first name is Judge,
Right.
because it's not. And their jokes aren't all funny.
Oh, I just thought I became super funny once I became a judge, because
No.
there was nothing I said that didn't land well. Everybody laughed all the time.